David Stockdale here, 1-3, from Wycombe Wanderers, and you're listening to The Wycombe Wanderers Show.
Welcome to this week's edition of the Wycombe Wanderers Show. It's a fine day because we can say that Wycombe Wanderers are top of the league.
They are top of the league. We are top of the league. It's quite amazing, really, isn't it?
Because there was a period, wasn't there, around sort of Saturday where we thought by this time, with the midweek games, that might not be the case.
Yeah, that's very true. And Wigan, with their 100 games in hand, slightly annoyingly. And Rotherham then not playing either on Tuesday because their game was postponed for a frozen pitch, I think. There's a slightly novel reason to postpone games, you know, in this COVID times where then actually it's the weather. But yes, we are still top of the league,
which is very exciting.
I know. I just can't quite get over it. When you look at the quality that's in League One, and that we're the top team, it's very exciting.
Absolutely. Brilliant win against Oxford to take us top of the table, still unbeaten in 2022. We'll be hearing from manager Gareth Ainsworth a little later on in the programme. We'll catch up with former boss Alan Gane as well, and we'll speak to the club's new head of audio and broadcast. Somebody who you might have heard of, Mr. Phil Catchpole. So all that's to come and more. If you were listening last week on the show as well, you'll have heard that we were due to be speaking to Jack Grimmer.
Yes.
Well, this week we're not going to. No, we are. We really are. He joins us now. Hello, sir.
Hello, guys. You okay?
Really good, thank you so much for speaking to us. It's fantastic to have you on. Sorry that you couldn't be with us last week, but I understand that was for educational purposes.
It was. A few of us at the club have started a leadership course, which is, you know, it's nice to do something different other than football and take your mind off it. So we started that a few weeks ago, and it's it's something to concentrate on outside of the game, I think.
Is it done by Gareth Ainsworth? Because he comes across as being a very good leader.
It's not, but I think if he did a leadership course, I think there'd be a lot of people that would come in, and then join on. So I think he could teach everyone a thing or two about leadership. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I've said that to him before, actually. That that quite seriously, that actually, he should write a manual or something, because clearly, whatever he does, he definitely he's got some secret. Because as Colin and I were just saying, the fact Wycombe Wanderers we're top of League One. Just fantastic. We can't quite believe where we are, given the calibre of some of the other teams who are below us.
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to think that he might at some stage write a book when his career's over or something like that, and I think it would be a very, very interesting read, because he is a very different manager to the other kinds that I've had throughout my career, and I've been very fortunate to have a lot of success with him. And like you said there, we're top of League One, above some really, really big clubs in this league. And, he just keeps overachieving, if you can call it that, and long may it continue.
The one thing that I always find amazing, actually, about him is, and I'm someone who's lucky enough to have actually gone up to the training ground to interview him and some of the players, is that actually if you go up there after a loss, it's just as buzzing and just as upbeat as it is if you guys have won.
Yeah, I think that was that's the thing. It's always, it seems to be a very good vibe. Last season, I think it's no secret we lost far too many games, and that's essentially why we got relegated. But we always tried our best to keep the vibe and in a good place and positive attitudes, and I think that showed when we finished the season so strongly, and then we managed to start this season so well. I think that really showed the strength in that, the value in keeping a positive attitude all the time. And I mean, times last season, as you can imagine, me and the other players were coming in, and you feel so deflated. You put so much into the games and you get nothing in return, and the gaffer every single Monday morning or whenever it was would walk in his usual upbeat self, and he always says it'll be a cold day in hell when he's negative, and I think that just sums him up as a person, to be honest.
And when you then look at actually what happened last season, and the fact that, as you say, we were so unlucky, and I'm not going to get you dragged into all of the Derby stuff, but the fact that we only just went down, and that we ended up actually finishing, the sort of like top in the relegation places, that says it all, really.
It is, yeah. I think it was a long old season. The start definitely didn't help us. We all I think we all rued that start because it went down to the last day, and like you said there, we finished top of the relegation places, and had it not been for maybe one club not getting punished when they maybe should have, then we would have stayed up. But you don't like to ever rely on that sort of stuff anyway. You'd like to do the talking on the pitch, and we just fell that little bit short last season, and I think that's what makes it. I think that's what makes everyone so hungry to get back there, is because we know we should have stayed up. I think we all felt that we were good enough to stay in that league. Even if you look at the league this season, I think we'd have stayed up again this season if we'd have been in it. And I think it just adds that extra sort of level of hunger for us all to get back there.
So just give us an insight as to what it's like in the dressing room, because you hear people say, you're all so close and you'll get on so well, and a great sort of team spirit amongst you all as well.
Yeah, I think it is just that sort of, it's a good place to go into every single morning, every day. I feel very fortunate at times, to play football, but to go into that environment, every single day for work is something I definitely do feel very fortunate for. I think the biggest factor for me is that they always sort of look for characters ahead of footballing ability first, and I think that shows because everyone that walks through the door has the right attitude, has the right work ethic, first and foremost is a nice person, and I think football is a place that there's more than a few not very nice people knocking about. So I think they sort of sieve through, I think, a lot of personalities, and I think it's that focus on the character first that helps build the culture that the club have.
You almost make it sound like a reality show, that actually they're going through and they're doing all of this research on you before they presumably approach you to start signing you.
Yeah, I think, they're always asking, football's a very small world, so they're always asking us about players that we've played with or that we've played against or that we know of. And I think like I said, it's a very small world, so, word travels fast. And I think it's, they really value players' opinions on other players, whether it be, signings or loans or whatever. And I think that sort of homework and that due diligence, I think, is definitely what helps create the culture. And, I think with the gaffer's been very lucky. He's been here such a long time. He's really, had such a turnover of players. He knows what works for him. He knows what doesn't. And I think he's been allowed to build basically from the ground up. And I think you're really seeing the sort of fruits of that success now.
And what about yourself? It must be so rewarding to see, established players intermix so well with some of the young stars coming through and them doing so well too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think since I've been on quite a journey since I first joined Wycombe. I was only sort of 25 years old at the time, and I think I've came a long way in the 2 and a bit seasons. I'll be 28 next week, and I think I'm now seeing the transition between, being maybe viewed as one of the younger players to one of the more experienced players in the squad. Bale, I confirm, still has 10 years on me, but I like to think of him as one of the more experienced ones. And it's been a learning curve for me to help the younger players develop. And because there wasn't any younger players when I first joined the club. I think that shows how far the club's came, is that it's managed to get the B team in place and get that future, players for the future in place. And it's, like I said, it's been a learning curve for me, helping develop them as best I can. And I'm sure Anis Mehmeti breaking through last season isn't going to be the last one. And
you've got a goal to show for it on your 82nd appearance as well.
I do, yeah. It's long overdue. It's incredible. I think I'd love to have scored it a lot earlier than my 82nd appearance, but anything that adds to the win, I think, is massive. And I think it is a bit of a monkey off my back, if I'm honest, that a lot of the boys, and rightly so, were handing me a fair bit of stick because I hadn't managed to score yet, and thankfully that's that one put to bed, and hopefully before the season's up I can add some more.
And it was a fantastic goal as well. I mean, you don't score bad goals. Not that there really are bad goals, but you know what I mean. Every goal that Jack Grimmer scores, thinking as well of the Coventry playoff game, is one to really just enjoy.
Yeah, I think so. That was my sort of line back to everyone, is that I score quality over quantity. So, and I'm sure a lot of them would have scored at Wembley, but. Yeah, I seem to save maybe few and far between, but I when I do score, it seems to be one for that gets a few retweets on Twitter or whatever, because I'm lucky. It was quite a good goal for my first one, and but I mean, if I'll take a 5-yard tap in on Saturday, as long as if I can score and we win, then I'll take anything.
One of the things that Joe Jacobson said after he did that incredible overhead kick sort of goal line clearance was that actually for you defenders that's almost as good as scoring a goal. Would you agree with that actually if you've done something that, say, prevents the opposition scoring a goal, that actually it makes you feel as good as actually scoring?
Yeah, I would definitely back that up. I think since I joined Wycombe, we did very well in our first season, obviously getting the promotion up from League One, and we were a team built on a solid base. We had Darius Charles and Anthony Stewart in the centre of defence, with me and Joe Jacobson at fullback, and I just think that I loved defending. I loved keeping clean sheets. We had a very good defensive record that year, and for me, the modern game is definitely about everyone wants goals and assists, but I don't like to, sort of get away too much from a clean sheet is still very important. That's what wins you matches. That's what, gets you promoted. And it is, I think, definitely that goal line sort of save and tackle. And that one, especially from JJ against Sunderland, was a belter. And it gives us all a lift when the defenders pull out moves like that.
Yeah, and Anthony Stewart again on Saturday. It looked like Oxford were definitely going to score, and then Anthony Stewart was there saving the day.
Yeah, absolutely, and you need that. I mean, on another day that maybe goes in, and the game goes in a different direction. I think during a promotion season, you definitely need those key moments to go for you. And even when we conceded late on against Sunderland, everyone was gutted, and I think most teams that would have been it. To concede that late on, but I just think it's typical of Wycombe. It's a very Wycombe thing to do, to then concede in the 93rd but go on to equalise in the 95th or 6th or whatever it was. And I mean, Anthony's been a rock for us since my whole time here, so that didn't really surprise me what he did on Saturday.
And as a backline, you must be so proud with your defensive record, even just so far this year. Only one game where you've not kept a clean sheet so far. Yeah, it's been a good start to the year. It's always a tricky period, I think, Christmas, and it wasn't as busy this year because a lot of games started to get postponed due to COVID, but going into January and February, those cold winter months that, some teams I think start to slip up and go through bad runs of form. I think dropping points here and there isn't always a bad thing, but it's how quickly you turn that back around. And I think we've managed to start the year well, which is, given us that base that we find ourselves top, coming midway in January. So we've done well so far, but it is the most cliches of sayings that you have to win on Saturday. I mean, the Oxford game was a brilliant game to beat our local rivals, but if you then drop points against Morecambe, no one really remembers the Oxford game. So it is one game at a time, and we're doing good, and we're on a bit of a good flow at the minute.
You mentioned about COVID. How was it last season playing actually in front of empty stands? What was that like as a player?
Yeah, it was literally one of the worst things ever. If I'm being honest, I think the playoff games were an anomaly in the sense that we had never played in front of empty stands before. There was so much at stake, and that we just needed to win the games. And to be honest, I just was caring about winning the football matches. It wasn't any real thought about the fans not being there, because it was such a big moment in Wycombe's history. And then obviously you realise when you beat Oxford in the final that it's just sad. It was just really, really sad that there was no fans there. Like, no, you know, I'd played for Wycombe for one season, but fans had supported that club their whole life, and to not get to share that moment with them was a real a sad moment. And then, like you said, last season, the first season the club's ever in the Championship, and they don't get to share that moment with us either. We had a few fans against, I think it was Stoke and Coventry, and even though there was only 2,000 fans, me and the boys, I remember running out on the pitch to warm up, and we got a standing ovation, and it was the first time the fans had seen us and we'd seen them since the promotion, and it sent, you know, tingles down all of our spines, and we all spoke about it after the game because it had been sorely, sorely missed. And I think with the atmospheres in the last two home games, I think it just shows you how much it's been missed.
And how disruptive has it been this season? Because obviously you're not knowing whether any more players or any of the coaching staff will be testing positive, and obviously, you know, as well as players, you're obviously people as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, some people overlook that fact. You know, you're people with families to think about and care for, and I think we've been very fortunate. I would want to call us lucky, but I know our medical team, you know, a lot of work goes in behind the scenes that nobody notices, and to try and make sure that we're all safe, to try and make sure that it doesn't spread. And although we've had a few positives, it's only ever seemed to be one or two. You know, you see some teams get knocked out with it. And I guess the EFL are a lot easier nowadays with cancelling games, but if they weren't, you know, teams could find themselves in a really tough spot. So I think we've been very fortunate so far that when we've had one positive, it hasn't spread through the club. You know, because it just seems like it's everywhere at the minute. You know, games getting cancelled left, right and centre. You know, I know a lot of like my friends and family have had it recently, and thankfully I've never had it, which is a big anomaly at the club. But in long may that continue.
We've got MK Dons, obviously, after Morecambe. Another one that you could probably label as being feisty and a derby, even though the MK Dons fans, like the Oxford fans, will probably say, no, it's not a derby. Is that as big a thing for the players as it is for the fans? Do you look at the fixture list and think, right, OK, we've got Oxford, we want to prove a point, or we've got MK Dons coming, we really want to beat them?
I think for me, the getting to Wembley and beating Oxford in the final made it, for me personally, one to look out for. I know that the way that game was when we were on the pitch with the players, the games that we'd had previously against them, they always tended to be quite feisty affairs, and that's obviously backed up by the way that the fans react in the stands. And MK Dons, you know, they are one of the teams that have been up there. It's a very competitive league, so probably anyone from 9th or 10th thinks that they can get in the playoffs, but they are one of the teams that have been up there. So I think you look towards those fixtures more anyway, just because they've been up there challenging. And for me, it's always how the game before went. Anthony got sent off, which was a horrendous decision by the referee at the time, and they went on to win 1-0. And I just think that we're due them one. Like sort of when Sunderland came to town, I thought we felt hard done by the first game, and I just think it's now to look to the return fixture, which it'll be nice to sort of get one back at them for sure.
And obviously Morecambe often cause Wycombe problems, and obviously they're quite low down on the table currently, but you know, especially going away to a team who, you know, as you say, if you don't do so well against them, then people soon forget how well that we're doing at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of those that we tended to really get good performances against the top sides in the league, and by no means should you take Morecambe lightly. We watched their game that they played midweek against Wigan, and Wigan probably were fortunate to come away with the win. You know, Morecambe missed some good chances because they're a good side that work really hard. I wouldn't say their league position's false, because at this stage of the season, I do feel that you deserve to be where you are, having played so many games. But I just feel that they are, you know, a team not to be taken lightly. And I think, like you said, they're going up away from home is always a tough fixture. We've been good this season away from home. I think our form's second in the league, which you definitely need if you're to try win the league or get promoted. And Saturday definitely will be another tough game.
One thing that's happened today is that David Stockdale's website has got quite a lot of mentions on social media. I don't know if you're aware of this, Jack. Have you seen David Stockdale's website?
So this is, it's hilarious you mention it, because I had seen it, because it's not a new thing, I don't think. I'm sure I've seen it last season at some point. And I had a couple of friends message me about it because the Daily Mail had written an article about it. So I had then sent that article into the group chat, and all of us were discussing it with the Wycombe boys literally just before I came on this. So it's quite funny. I'm not sure, for whatever reason, it seems to have literally gone viral, and a lot of people are discussing it. But yeah, he's a character, that's for sure, and he's massively played his part this season. And like they say, all press is good press, I think, so it's good for him. Yeah,
we particularly like the fact that he says in the bit where it says the pundit, he is keen to explore TV and radio punditry opportunities. If you do see him tomorrow, let him know that actually, if he wants to come on the show, we're quite happy to have him as the Wycombe Wanderers Show pundit anytime. Yeah,
absolutely. I'll let him know for sure. There was a line on it talking about being a philanthropist that all of us found very funny, and I think the article itself is quite a good read if you've got the time. But it's he's putting himself out there, which not many. I personally wouldn't be on that length, but yeah, that's Stocko for a year. I think he's one of those that's just larger than life. Yeah,
he's a fantastic character, and we are very lucky to have him.
And is there a feeling amongst the team, sorry, moving away from IT for a moment, is there, although it's important to get your thoughts on this issue, is there a feeling among the team that something special could be happening around now? Because you wonder, especially with the promotion winning side, at what point, you as players thought, this could be something quite good?
Yeah, I think so. I think what helped was we finished last season very well. We had great results, and we're so close to staying up by the end of it that I think the feel-good factor sort of flowed quite well into this season. And when we signed the players that we did in the summer, the players like Sam Vokes, or the players of that calibre, when he walked through the door, I think it gave everyone a lift. Not that we really needed a lift, but I just think, when players of that calibre walk through the door, everyone wants to raise their level. And I think it is such a feel-good factor normally at the club. When you're winning, it's just accelerated. And the season has gone well for us so far. I think looking at our form, we're very consistent. We've not went through, touch wood, any sort of major slumps. And I just think it's such a competitive league. I mean, you look at all the clubs, it's just ridiculous. It is a mini championship nowadays. It's the level, the difference in level is not that big. And I think for sure that we don't need any encouragement that we think something special is going to happen. And we really want to get back there so that the fans can actually witness championship football at Adams Park.
We wish you all the best for Saturday. Really appreciate your time. It's been fantastic speaking to you. Thank you so much for chatting to us.
Yes, thank you so much, Jack.
No, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
We'll have to have you on again as well to discuss some of the more pressing issues, like what your favourite colour is and things like that.
And do mention to Stocko that we mentioned his website as well.
I will do. I'll let him know that we did a bit of a plug about that, and hopefully, I can come back on once we seal promotion and we can come on for a celebration.
No, that would be excellent. Really appreciate your time, and all the best for Saturday.
Nice one. Thanks a lot, guys. Cheers.
Jack Grimmer speaking to us here at Wycombe Sound.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Really enjoyed speaking to Jack Grimmer. As I say, we could literally have spoken to him about all sorts of things, really, couldn't we?
We could indeed, yes. And if you are interested, the David Stockdale website is davidstockdale13.co.uk. Unfortunately, there is no Jack Grimmer website yet, but you never know. We might have planted the seed.
I was going to say, you never know, do you?
Jack, we need your website saying the man, the athlete, the business, the philanthropist.
Oh, that's hard to say.
Yeah, it is rather.
Still to come on this week.
I was quite impressed when Jack managed to say due diligence as
yeah,
well.
That's
good. Quite hard as well.
Yeah, we should use that more on future shows as well.
Yes, we should.
We can't use it on previous shows. It's literally not.
We're not Doctor Who.
We could try and put them into previous shows maybe somehow. Just cut and paste. If you listen back to previous shows and that suddenly appears, you'll know what we've done. Still to come, we'll hear from Phil Catchpole and manager Gareth Ainsworth. But first, in our ex-player slot, which we're very fortunate to bring you chats with not only ex-players but former managers as well. Alan Gane took charge of the team in the 80s and also played for the side in the early 70s. We were saying earlier on today that there aren't too many people.
We think there's possibly only two people that have done that.
Certainly the current manager has.
Yes.
But Alan is, as I say, took charge of the team, but also played in the early 70s as well.
I was only there for a year when I left college, and I went to teacher training college to be a PE teacher. And Wycombe, I think it was mainly down to Brian Lee, used to get quite a few school teachers who were footballers as well, joined them when they sort of finished their training and started teaching. That's exactly what I did. And I started playing there in 72, 73. And I knew Larry Pritchard then, because Larry was at the club. And I knew Larry from when I was at Sutton a few years before that. So I used to travel with Larry all the time.
Oh, fantastic. We spoke to Larry a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, did you? Yeah, good lad, Larry. Yeah. Very, very, very good footballer. Very good footballer. He should have been a pro, actually.
No, fantastic. And you must be quite, I guess, pleasantly surprised to be returning in a managerial capacity initially as an assistant.
Well, yeah, I mean, I obviously had my career, and we're talking probably 12 years later-ish. And I got a phone call from Paul Bentz, who had just got the job. And I was not on the verge of retiring, but I was getting to that age where I probably was thinking about retiring, had a niggly injury, and I got a phone call one day from Paul Bentz who said, I've just got the job as Wycombe manager, would you like to be my assistant? And I was absolutely shocked, to be honest with you, because I hadn't actually considered being a manager before, but it almost fell into it, and so I jumped at the chance and joined as Paul Bentz's assistant, which was great, because I don't think, had that opportunity not have arisen, I'm not sure whether I'd have gone into management or not. I mean, I absolutely loved it. I suppose it's opportunities, isn't it?
And was there something quite special about returning to a club, one of the clubs that you played for?
Paul described it as a sleeping giant, and I always regarded Wycombe as probably the biggest non-league club in the country. You know, they were like the Manchester United non-league football. It doesn't matter where they were in the league. They were a big club, and it's great gates. And so, yeah, I mean, it's an opportunity which I think I just couldn't turn it down, to be honest. We had not a great budget, I would say. Wycombe were punching above their weight regarding finances. And we managed to, I think, became second, actually, to Worthing in the league. But because Worthing couldn't go up, for one reason or another, we got promoted into the conference. So we went into the conference, and it was quite difficult. We found it quite hard. And then, probably just after Christmas, January, February time, Paul left the club. I think it was work-related. And I would have actually gone with him, but Brian Lee offered me the job, which I was quite surprised at that. And I took it. But we were not in a very good position, and we got relegated that year, which was really quite devastating for me, because obviously the first job I'd had. But Brian said, we believe in you, so we want you to keep the job for next year. So I did, and we went straight back up again.
That must have been especially pleasing, though, as well, to have done so well, to get promotion in the first time of asking. Yeah,
I mean, that was absolutely fantastic. I mean, it really was. It was, I think, one of the main reasons we got together a really, really good side. And the two key players, I think, that made us into a good team were two players I got from Enfield, Noel Ashford and Keith Barrett, both England internationals. And, I mean, that really came from Brian Lee suggesting that I give the manager of Enfield, somebody called Eddie McCluskey, a ring, because he had heard on the grapevine that he was going to let these two go. And I mean, these were two really good players, really, really top players. And I couldn't believe he was actually doing that. So something had gone on, which I didn't really delve into. I met Keith and Noel, and they signed and transformed the team, to be honest, because, Noel was an exception. I think Noel Ashford and Larry Pritchard, I think they got voted in one of the non-league magazines as the two best players of all time in non-league football. And they really were special. And we got a few more players in, and we got a very, very settled side, a well-balanced team, and we won the league quite easily. I think Yeovil were in the league as well. It was really us or them. I think we beat them by about 20 points in the end. But it was a really, really special time, yeah. A great time.
And are there any particular games which especially stand out during your time in charge there?
Oh, yeah, the one where we won the league. We won it down at Bognor. And it was a fantastic match. I mean, one of the other signings I made, which was probably one of the best signings I've ever made, was a fellow called Andy Graham, who was a front player. He played for Wealdstone in the Cup final. And he was a great signing. But on the night of the game, he was due to meet, the coach was going to pick him up, and he never turned up. And he was in McDonald's. He was having his pre-match meal in McDonald's, and his watch stopped. So he missed the bus, and we went there without him. But we won the match, and that was just an unbelievable night. That's probably the game I remember more than any. I mean, one of the games I do remember, which was a fantastic match, we played Leek Town. I think it was I can't remember the FA Cup or the Trophy. And it was 5-5. And one of the best games of football you'll ever see in your life. We beat them in the replay, but yeah, it was a fantastic game.
Because obviously, I guess this is sort of the early days of Mark West and Gary Lester, who sadly we lost recently as well.
Yeah, well, Westy was in and out of the team when I was the manager, because he was only about 18, I think he was, and he was always going to be a good player. I think he got let go by West Ham. Paul Bent signed him, and he was in and out of the team when I was the manager. But we had a fellow called Declan Link, who came from Staines, was an absolute out-and-out goal scorer, and he just kept scoring goal after goal after goal. So Westy was in and out of the team. But Gary Lester was there. He was. I was devastated to hear the news about Gary the other week, because he was a smashing lad, a really, really nice lad, and he sadly passed away. There was another lad in the team called Kevin Durham, who came from Oxford City, and he was an exceptional player. And he died very young as well. He died on a club tour when he was about 30, I think. But he was a fantastic player in the team that won the league.
No, definitely, because it must feel, as the manager as well, that such responsibility for the players, but also such a tight-knit group as well to be working with.
Well, yeah, I think that really is one of the keys to success, because you've had lots of the players, but bonding them and being part of that group is absolutely critical. And that group of players that we had there was a very, very tight-knit group. Yeah, you're right. It does make a difference. I mean, they talk about team spirit, but it really does make a huge difference.
And people obviously talk about the challenges of management and the pressures of management, which are obviously very, very different in even such a comparatively short time ago.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think a lot depends on non-league football anyway. I mean, a lot of people do it because you play all your life, and then when you finish playing, it's almost like you almost go into it because you get used to doing it all the time, so you want to carry on doing it. But I think you need to take it seriously enough. Otherwise, you can just flounder and go from club to club to club. And I really didn't want to do that. I mean, I think you've got to take it really seriously, and then you get the rewards for it.
So, how would you describe overall your time in charge at Wycombe?
Oh, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I mean, I think one of the first part obviously wasn't very good because we were going to go down anyway. But actually, being in charge when you do get relegated is not the nicest thing in the world. So the first part was quite traumatic. But the second part, winning the league, was just... I mean, we just won. So I think we got 101 points, and I think we scored 103 goals. And it was fantastic. It really was one of the, I mean, not forgetting playing, but in management, that's one of the best things I ever had.
It's strange, isn't it? Because you hear fans saying, "Oh, what a great achievement it is to get promoted to the Football League," but there's something a bit special about being a non-league club as well.
Oh yeah, I mean that is, and what they've done since is fantastic. And but to be honest with you, I think they were always destined to do that anyway, because of the size of the club they were and still are. They're always going to be up there, and they just needed that extra bit of. I know Martin O'Neill was in charge when they did go up, but that extra bit of knowledge and that extra bit of good management and finances. And Wycombe were destined to do that, and I think now they're there. They're kind of they're flitting between Division 1 and the Championship, and which is great. If you had said that 30 years ago, I don't think anyone would have believed you. But the fact they're there, and they're not struggling at all. And the same thing has happened to Sutton United. They've gone up, and they're with a chance of going up this year as well. No,
definitely. So tell us a bit about what you've been doing since your time in charge.
I left Wycombe and went on to manage Staines, and we won the league there as well, which was good. And then I went to Wealdstone, which wasn't the nicest time. The club just wasn't right at all, and I think what happened to the club kind of proves that point. They lost their ground and everything. And then I went on to Sutton United, and I had 5 or 6 great years there. We beat Wycombe in the trophy semi-final. First leg at Wycombe, which was another great game, but then we lost the second leg when they got to Wembley and played Runcorn, I think, and won the trophy. And then I left left Sutton, and I thought, well, I'll have a year off now, and I got Arsenal season tickets, and I thought, well, I'll have a year off, and then go back to it in a year, but that 1 year became 2 years. And that 2 years became 3 years, and then you gradually lose contact. And then you get to the point where you say, well, hang on, how did I have the time to do that? So I never went back into it. I mean, I'm still a fanatic football person, obviously, but I think also, at the time, the attitude was changing as well, because, the players we had at Wycombe and at Sutton were fantastic, because to me, that's all that matters, the attitude of players. The attitude was absolutely brilliant. But you then started to get players, because money started coming to non-league football, quite a lot of money, and players were playing for the money, and that kind of destroyed it for me. And I know one of the key things that made me think I don't want to do that, I was talking to a player one day, and he said, I'll speak to my agent, and I was absolutely flabbergasted. I can't believe he said it. This was an average non-league player telling me to speak to his agent. And I thought, no, I don't do this anymore. So I haven't done it since, so in 1996 I think that was. So I now go and watch Arsenal all the time, retired, play a bit of golf, and that's it really.
No, it sounds fantastic. But you must look back in it with an awful lot of pride and to work with the players. And I guess it must be such a balancing act as well, because obviously, people easily forget that, these are players who had, other jobs as well.
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, it was very, very time-consuming. But one of the good things about Wycombe, they had, and there's very few clubs could do this, but they have got an ex-players and managers association, and they all do all sorts of things like quizzes and golf days, but they have a dinner every year, and it is really, really good to go back and see all the people that you used to know, used to play with, used to manage. And it's a really, really good thing to do. And there's one or two, obviously, because we're getting older, every year there's 2 or 3 people that have passed on. But it's a great thing, and they make you feel really, really... I mean, you do feel very, very... I feel very, very proud of the fact that I did manage Wycombe. Very proud of it. And, it's something nobody can ever take away. But, it's great. It is a great club, and I have every respect for it, and the people that run it as well, they do a great job. So, I'll never forget the time I had there.
Really great to chat to Alan Gane, of course, a former player and manager, with big thanks to the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association as well.
Yes, indeed. And sad news from the Ex-Players Association today, because Wycombe fan Richard Bignell has passed away aged just 44. His dad John was a founding member of the Ex-Players Association. Richard attended his first Wycombe game in 1984, and the club very much became his passion. He was a season ticket holder. He attended almost every event that the Ex-Players Association put on. Our thoughts are with him and his family and friends.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Final part of the Wycombe Wanderers Show. What, already? Still to come, we'll hear from manager Gareth Ainsworth, and we'll be hearing from the club's new head of audio and broadcast in a moment.
We should mention Wycombe Wanderers women who went down to a 5-1 defeat to Eastleigh in the Community. Yes, that really is a team. They remain 6th in the table. They're next in action at the Blackwell Heath campus of the Bucks College Group. They'll be playing Abingdon United on Sunday.
Oh, we wish them all the best for that, obviously. As mentioned, Wycombe Wanderers only so far, I think, signing in the January transfer window. There haven't been any others, have there?
I don't think there's been any others, no.
Has been an off-the-pitch acquisition.
I think he'd be very good, actually, playing, though. You know.
Do you think?
Oh, yeah. You wouldn't argue with him, would you? You know.
What sort of position do you think?
I would think sort of like he'd be the midfield dynamo.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're talking, of course, about Phil Catchpole, someone who's very known to fans for many different things. Perhaps it's the commentary, perhaps it's... No, it's probably the commentary, isn't it?
Mainly, yes. Yeah, I liked what he said when I interviewed him a few weeks ago, where he said that actually, you know, he just comes out with these words, whereas actually to fans they mean so much.
Here are his thoughts.
Yeah, it's been an amazing journey from going to Adams Park, Lokes Park in 1987 as a boy for the first time, first ever football match, to then following them to Adams Park and season tickets on the terrace and the Martin O'Neill era, etc., and then making the leap into the press box sort of by accident, and then learning how to be a journalist and a commentator, and then working for the BBC. So yeah, it feels like I'm coming home fully, which is great. It's obviously a place I know well. And there's some great potential, not just at Wycombe Wanderers, but just in football in general, in terms of what we can do now. Super excited to be working for Matt and the Coohigs, and big thanks to them for their faith in me, really.
So what does your role involve?
Well, it's been labelled up as head of audio and broadcast, so Ringing the Blues podcast will come into the club now as an official club podcast, although it will remain the same in spirit. Rob Coohig, the chairman, is very keen that I continue to be able to question things that go on at the club with the powers that be, including him as well, and continue to be that line of communication for the fans. But we're also going to be ramping up so much more sort of visual content as well, video content during the week. I'll continue to be the match day commentator, which obviously is a massive passion of mine. I love doing it as well. So home and away, be commentaries on those, and for people to be able to watch the games on the Wycombe platform as well. We're still bound by the EFL licensing in this country, so 3 p.m. kickoffs on a Saturday in this country can't be viewed, but the other games will be, and if you're overseas, then that will continue, but it'll be done on the Wycombe platform.
It sounds like a very exciting development, especially with technology playing a huge part as well.
Yeah, I'm still staggered, Colin, you know, to this day when we're doing match day commentaries and you're getting pictures sent through you on Twitter and etc. of people all over the place, you know, New Zealand, all the way across America, Latin America, South America, people tuning in, watching games, listening to me, the other side of the world, talking about a football match that's taking place in the cold and the mist while someone sat around with a nice drink around the side of a pool or doing something else. I've never really got my head around that, but it just goes to show the potential. And it's taken someone like Rob Coohig, you know, from New Orleans to recognise what he calls the worldwide Wycombe phenomenon. I mean, a lot of people laughed when he turned up and first started talking about that, but it's starting to happen. And it's great to be able to get involved in that and bring a bit of energy and a bit of my past experience in that into hopefully growing these Wycombe fans all over the world.
And a really nice compliment to you as well as to how you can convey the spirit of the club and also what's going on the pitch as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm blown away when Rob asked me about coming in as well, and obviously, as you know, that I've got a link back to the club, and you know, I can get misty-eyed and talk about the Martin O'Neill glory days until the cows come home, and we'll probably do so many times. But yeah, I mean, I've got to know a lot of the fans over the years, and you know, Rob said last week, he said it's like Cheers. He said it's the club where everybody knows your name, and I had a really tough year when my mum passed away, and the love and support I got from the fans of the club, people I didn't even know, who came up to me as if they knew me because they'd listened to me in the commentary, and that was a huge support for me. And we see that around the club now when people go through tough times or good times. We go through all those things together as a club and as a family, and I've really felt that this year, and it's really underlined it, and we want to take that forwards with everybody.
And really nice as well, obviously, how the players and management staff already know you.
Yeah, it's I'm saying like an old pair of slippers maybe, but it's lovely. Like I spoke to Gareth this morning and I asked him a question about the pre-match, and the first thing he said was, "Welcome to the club, Phil. It's great to have you on board." And it's little bits like that. And Gareth is the guy at the top. He sets the tone, and to be a player for Wycombe Wanderers, you've got to buy into that ethos. And I'm pleased to say that the office at Wycombe Wanderers is very much the same as well. It's a team ethic. Everyone's pulling in the same direction, and great to be a part of.
Looking forward to seeing the developments there. Earlier on today, caught up with Gareth Ainsworth as well, talking about the fact that, amongst other things, not having a game for midweek must have really helped their preparations for Saturday.
It's always nice to get that week in, although, it's always balancing with this time of the season. It's been a heavy schedule over Christmas, so a couple of boys have had days of work in the gym and their rehab and prehabs that they do, and really it's the same as a normal week. On Monday and Tuesday we genuinely work on our generic stuff of what we do, and then Thursday, Friday we always start to focus and ramp it up for the opposition. So yeah, we worked on some of our principles early in the week, which has been really good, and just one or two things I thought we could have done slightly better against Oxford at the weekend, but no, we're really pleased with where we are, and like I say, it's nice to be able to just have that week between games at the moment, because I'm sure there's going to be a few midweeks coming up, and we know Cambridge especially, both games had to be moved. So yeah, when that comes, we want to be ready. We want to make sure the boys know the principles, and by this time they really do.
And how have things been in terms of illness and injuries? Obviously, it was unfortunate to lose Sam just before the Oxford game.
Yeah, Sam would have obviously suspected COVID, and that was tough to take. So we had to reshuffle on the Friday, which was good. At least they gave me a day, But I thought the way the boys adapted to what I wanted to do was fantastic, and they really took it on well. And it was great to see them, coming up with the goods on Saturday. I thought they were excellent. I really do. There's obviously a bit on that game with the locality of it, and both teams at the top end of the table as well. So it was a fantastic performance, I thought. And after the first 20 minutes, which I have to give Oxford credit, they really put it on us, and it was tit for tat. I thought after that we looked quite comfortable and defended our box really, really well. I know the shot count was probably slightly high for Oxford, but if you watch the game again, a lot of those were hopeful from outside the box, which you'll take any day. Whereas we're trying to work the ball into the box and get things going there. Ironically, we scored 2 goals from distance as well, but I thought the chances were very much in our favour, the clear-cut ones, and if we can keep doing that, we're going to have a chance this year of finishing in the top 6, which is the target.
It felt like such a special game as well, obviously with you dedicating the win to Alana, but obviously with such a big crowd as well, and as you say, the local derbyness of it felt just such a great sort of afternoon out, really. Yeah,
and that was important, maybe a little bit of added pressure, because obviously I met her family before the game, and having said that, putting things in perspective, it's only a football game, but it was nice to be able to dedicate a win to Alana and the friends in the terrace. They were fantastic. They really packed it out, and they did her proud with their singing and their volume, and I'm sure she was there and giving her own opinions, but it was a nice way to finish that Saturday. The funeral's tomorrow, actually, on Friday this week, and I want to be at that. She's definitely been a part of our story, and like I say, it won't be forgotten. We don't forget our family, and she definitely played that part in the Wycombe family and the Wycombe story. So, like I say, brilliant to be able to dedicate that win to her. Now, can the boys keep going and keep striving and keep pushing, because we've got something special here going, and I'm really, really proud of where we are. Not just this season, but the whole 10 seasons that we've had together. It's been fantastic.
And so fitting to be top of the table. I know that's something that, you know, fans think more of than probably yourself and your staff and your players, but nice to be there for a week and to be sort of leading and to be unbeaten as well in 2022.
Yeah, and you know, I'm not going to make the mistake of saying things in public. There's too many managers do that and get it put, you know, fall flat on their face. Pride before a fall and all that sort of stuff. But I know what I've got. I'm really, really happy with what I've got. We'll continue to work hard and try and improve because it's an ever-changing game, this, and it's an ever-changing situation. And in top is brilliant, but it's only January. And I'd like to be top in May if possible. April, at the end of April. But you know, sometimes you don't just get what you want. You've got to work really hard for it, and we'll be giving everything we can to make sure we stay in these top positions in this league, which is a fantastic league this year, and looking forward to seeing where we end up.
And something else which really must please you and stands out in the games that you have played this month, there's only one where you conceded any goals. Yeah,
and again, and what a fantastic game that was. But we do pride ourselves on being solid. You know, I'm probably known as a footballer. I was an attacker. I was getting at people, and my defending was, you know, it was there. I always did the graft, but I was always known for making things happen. And it's the opposite, really. It's I love coaching the lockout. I love coaching defensive stuff. I think maybe it's sort of a flip on me as a player. I don't know, or knew what I used to like as a player, getting past people, and what helped me. And I try and coach that into the boys, into the defenders, saying, well, you know, I loved this, and I loved it when defenders did this, and this is when I got my chances, and probably do the opposite with them and tell them how to stop these wingers and how to stop these forwards. And so I really do enjoy it. But some of the attacking play we've got, you know, sometimes attacking is really hard to coach. It's a brilliance thing sometimes with Mamete and McCleary and Hanlon at the moment. You know, you can't coach those type of players. You know, I can't coach these triple step overs that Gareth does every now and again. And it's just getting them the ball and giving them confidence and giving them the belief that they can go and do things. So the shutout and the lockout for me is really, really impressive, and only conceding in one game so far in 2022. Although it was 3 goals, we're very proud of that as well.
And we've spoken before about the big games at home which you've had and have got coming up, but obviously it doesn't take away from, you know, the trip to Morecambe, which, you know, they may be struggling at the wrong end of the table, but we've seen in many games that teams lower down can really, you know, take scalps higher up too.
Wow, believe me, Morecambe will never be taken lightly in my opinion, or Wycombe's opinion, because they have chucked so many spanners in our works in the last few years. You know, promotion parties and relegation battles and good runs, and they always come and give Wycombe a good game or up there at the Globe. Always, it's a tough game against Morecambe, so nobody be fooled about Morecambe's a team that we should beat, because they almost got something off Wigan midweek, and I consider Wigan to be right up there. So Cole Stockton obviously up front, they've got a real powerful striker there, and they've got some real discipline in the way they defend and the way they try and lock teams out. So we've got our work cut out Saturday, believe me. We really need to be on our ball, and you know, I'm never a manager who looks at the last game and thinks, right, just continue, just keep doing that. It's the next game. What will it take to beat Morecambe? And that's what I'll be picking my team on. That's what we'll be training on the next couple of days. And hopefully we can get a result up at the Globe. It'd be a fantastic result, that, for me. And I say, no way am I looking at Morecambe thinking this is an easy game.
And just finally, overall, do you feel that the team is coping really well in terms of, you know, with COVID and with injuries as well? And you must be so pleased how well your medical staff are sort of looking after everybody too.
I know what I've got with my medical team. You know, they're absolutely fantastic. I would not have had any of the success I've had without my medical staff. You know, Kian, Ali, and Isaac are just brilliant. As well as Ben Sayers, who's been in addition, who's been fantastic. You know, with his GPS loading programs and people not getting injured in training. We touch wood, and actually I'm touching wood now. We have not lost anyone for a loading injury in training, which I'm sure many clubs have. You know, it's always impact. It's always wax in the games. You know, we're really lucky. But I think if you put the right people in place and you work your socks off, you make your own luck. And So those four definitely I've just mentioned there, as well as Dave Waits, head of sports science. You know, they're really keeping the boys in a tip-top fitness condition. And so any manager who doesn't appreciate what his medical staff do is overlooking a huge department, because without your players being fit, you're going to struggle, really, really struggle. And you look at teams who've complained about injuries, and we've done it in the past, so many, but we've got it going really well here, and I'm really confident in putting out a fit, good, physically ready 11 every single Saturday, and that's testament to those guys.
Gareth Ainsworth speaking to us here at Wycombe Sound. Must say a big thank you to Jane, who's got in touch as well. We should add Peter Suddaby to our list, of course, a former guest on the show who's played for and managed the side. Must say a very big hello as well to Chaz Harps, who's commented on the gas room about how much he enjoyed our chat with Keith.
Or is this at the end of the show, maybe? Goodbye!
And also to the Wycombe Wanderers Sport and Education Trust as well, who are big fans of the show too. Formerly a big hello, currently a big goodbye. Hope you enjoyed the show. Back at the same time next week. Thank you very much.
Goodbye!